Good evening, my little bar rats. I hope everybody's having a good Tuesday, March 11th, 2025. It has been a day for me, and I hope it's been a day for you as well. Everything going well for my Catholic brothers and sisters in Lent. I hope you are. It's going lentily for me as well. Good show tonight for you. I'm very excited. It's going to be a good time, as always, here on Rickcast. So if you want to do me a favor, hit that like, subscribe, share, notification bell, all those kinds of things to help the show grow. And thank you for participating in this this small time show. It only works because you guys are here. And I want to take the time to appreciate every single one of you for stopping by and hanging out with me. We've got a ton of stuff for you tonight. Actually, more than I think I want to cover. And Steph points out we're going to cover that in a hot take because I got things to say about it, and it's not positive. And yes, lentils are delicious. Lentils. They are delicious. So let's see. Wow, that's amazing. Good for him. Happy birthday to Mendez's husband at 72 years old. Happy birthday. And good for you. Good for you, my friend. That's awesome. All right. So we got a couple hot takes. Then we're going to talk about the InfoWars reporter that was murdered here in Austin and a reflection of the left's escalation of violence and what that means for us. Then we're going to I get my lawn mowed because I'm not the alpha man that I think so. But I have the lawn guys and they're just doing stuff around here, and I make the faces when they make the noise, because they just burn all over the place. So anyway, we're gonna talk about the InfoWars guy. Then we're gonna talk about the Ukrainian peace deal that is supposedly on the table. We're gonna talk about that as well. And what that means for the military-industrial complex. Then we're going to talk about Thomas Massie, being Thomas Massie, and how the MAGAites are trying to bully him around. They tried to do this back in 2020 when he was the only representative to stand against the checks and all the other COVID fancy things that were being pushed out at that time. There you go again. Now they're in the front with the leaf blower. But I can hear them. Hopefully you guys can. But then we're going to talk about the Harry Potter race swap of Snape. Now, I think Harry Potter is witchcraft, and I don't think it's a good series, but it's a culture war issue, and, we'll talk about it. And if you really like the Daredevil Born Again series, I'm going to be doing a live stream at the conclusion of the show at 9 p.m. Central, which would be 10 p.m. Eastern, and I think 7 p.m. Pacific. So if you want to join me on this channel, I will be there as well. So let's get to it, ladies and gentlemen. First off, let's get to our first. Golly, man, you guys can't hear that? I honestly think because I can hear it, you can hear it, and I'm having issues with it. I'm not doing well with it right now. Anyway, so let's talk about this. I actually wasn't going to talk about this until I saw Brian Kilmeade, and I didn't have time because it was right before the show to get the audio clip. But Brian Kilmeade's on Fox saying we should all go buy Teslas. We should all go buy Teslas to support Elon Musk. Yeah, that is stupid. This whole thing with Trump buying a Tesla to support Elon Musk is stupid. Elon Musk is a billionaire. He's lost 145. He's going to be fine. That's a tax write-off for him this year. He's got 14 kids and 140 billion that he lost. He's going to be fine at tax time. Unlike me, I'm getting bullied around by my tax company. As soon as it's over, I will, go scorched earth on them on this very program. I'm going to take them to the absolute to the woodshed. My terrible tax company. I'm done with them this year. But anyway, I don't want to get into that. But this idea, Teslas are being attacked because of political ideology. And I'm not going to go. I mean, I wanted to buy a Cybertruck before. I would still consider buying one, but I'm not going to go run out and buy a Tesla to help a billionaire. And this is kind of one of those looks where we start to kind of, not kind of, I gotta stop saying kind of, where we got to understand that we're splitting between the MAGAites, the MAGA maniacs, and people who just didn't want Kamala Harris elected. I am on the side of people who did not want Kamala Harris elected. And watching all of this, yeah, right, Michael? It's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's just, it's wrapped up in red, white, and blue MAGA stripes, and it's just stupid. And I don't like it either. You know, the Teslas are there, and you can pick whichever one you want. He's going to buy one, and all of these other kinds of things. And it's just so, I just can't stand it. And I can't stand, and the reason I can't stand the mass adoption of it, and the reason Trump gets away with it, and the reason he does it, and this is not a disrespect to him, I do it kind of, you know, it goes to your idea, right? It goes to your ego. His ego is being pumped by the grifters who won't push back, and we're gonna light up Dan Bongino during the Thomas Massie thing about that, and all these other people that are so desperate to stay in the Trump money orbit that they won't be like, Trump, don't buy a Tesla, you know? Or if you do it, just be like, yeah, I bought a Tesla from him. He's going to deliver it to the White House or whatever. But this whole thing is they fall in line. And that's the problem. There's a lot of Catholics. There's a lot of my brothers and sisters in Christ, my Catholic brothers. Some of y'all in danger of idolatry. And I'm not trying to set the world afire by saying that. But some of y'all got to really put your priorities back in order. Some of you guys, you know, you wear your ashes on your forehead, but then you worship everything Donald Trump does, right? Shoot about pressure. I'm channeling my inner Joe Biden, and I'm so angry. But this is stupid. This is a bad look, and I don't like it. Tesla will be fine. Tesla gets a lot of money from the federal government. Elon Musk will be fine. He gets a lot of money from the federal government. The only people that are going to be impacted by this are the people that work at the Tesla dealerships, the salesmen, the janitors, the store managers. Those are the people that are going to be impacted by this because they are the ones that are going to get the wrath of the leftists. You know, yes, Trump has security. Yes, Elon Musk has security. I get it. But Elon Musk can afford some of the best security in the world. The guy making $40,000 a year at the Tesla dealership, he can't even have a gun in Oregon. So I don't like this look. I'm on record. I am not a MAGAite. That's why you watch this show, because I will push back on Trump. This is bad Trump, bad optics. This is just, the whole Tesla thing is an unforced error. You know, just Elon, he's under a lot of pressure. He helped us out, and I wish him the best. We're here to support him, right? Tesla's a great company. Tesla's a great company. I love it. It's great. And then just move on. This whole song and dance that he's doing at the White House. Yeah, he needs somebody to be like, Trump, don't do this. This is dumb. This is dumb. Of course, you don't get to where Trump is by listening to people. Kind of just do it on your own. But yes, if you want my official opinion, I think it's stupid. Bad look. Don't do it. All right, folks, this is Rick Cass. I'm the aforementioned Rick. We are moving on to our next story of the day. See, the Trump Tesla story takes away from a positive that Trump should be talking about this, right? This is from breaking news, or I'm sorry, from leading report. Inflation is down. U.S. inflation is down, and it has dropped pretty dramatically. The inflation rate is actually going down. This is a huge deal, especially since you're hearing people say, oh, by the way, the price of eggs have dropped. I know nobody's going to talk about it, but the price of eggs have dropped. We're starting to see the economy. It hasn't turned fully yet, but the economy is starting to turn a little bit. And this is what Trump should be talking about. Not about Tesla, not about Elon Musk and all of his stuff. I mean, that's an interesting question. I don't think you're actually trash talking here, because if is this a gift? Because when like a sports team goes to the White House, or somebody from Japan gives Trump like a samurai sword or something like that, that all goes to the presidency. They don't keep that stuff. It goes to the archives. In fact, every first lady, when they get elected on election night, they get access to the entire vault, if you will, and they can pick whatever they want from all the way back to, like, I think Jefferson, like lamps and stuff from China plates from Jefferson, and they can decorate the White House however they want. But if here's how it's legal, I think, Stephanie. Let's say the Philadelphia Eagles gave Trump a jersey and said Trump 47, and he really liked it. He can keep it if he buys it from the government. He can't take it. He can't be like, oh, this is my jersey, and he walks out. He'll pay the government the retail price for the jersey. Now, since Elon Musk is not presenting this as a gift, and Trump is saying he's just buying it, I believe that's on the up and up, because he's not giving it to the US government. Trump is buying it. It's a private sale. So that's why it is legal. So it would be he'd have to go through one more thing if Elon Musk was like, President Trump, I'm going to gift you this Tesla. And then Trump would have to buy the Tesla from the US government at retail price. And that's how presidents keep things when they leave the White House. They purchase it from the government. If they don't purchase it from the government, it goes into the National Archives vault for future presidents to use. So that's how that works. But inflation is down. Just want to let you all know that. That's really good. Gas prices are going down. A little bit of we'll see how that stays in going into the summer, but it's a lower time of year, so gas prices usually don't go that way. But we'll see how it goes. Some positive economic news under Trump. So if I was him, I'd be talking about that instead of helping Elon Musk sell Teslas. He doesn't need to help him sell Teslas. So, oh man, did I just get rid of that? I did. Hold on a second. This is Rick Cast. I'm the aforementioned Rick. And if you like what I'm doing, like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell. If you want to be notified, that's why you hit the notification bell, when this show begins. Last story of our hot takes. So this just dropped about half hour ago. U.S. Education Department confirms it's eliminating nearly 50% of its workforce. Really?
Reporting that the Education Department employees have been told that they must vacate their offices in D.C. and the regions by 6 o'clock tonight, and that the offices will be closed on Wednesday for security reasons.
Look at that. So we have the closure of the Department of Education. And whether you think this is a good idea or not, it happened. I was on record saying I didn't really think this is a great idea to do, because this gives the Democratic Party ammunition to run against Trump in 2026. But I guess the idea is if you do it now, then you have a year to kind of see how everything works out, or whatever the case may be. But I kind of wish other agencies got shut down before the U.S. Department of Education, but hey, we'll see how it goes. As part of the Department of Education's final mission, the department today initiated the reduction in force, impacting nearly 50% of the department's workforce. Impacted department staff will be placed on administrative leave beginning Friday, March 21st. Today's reduction in force reflects the Department of Education's commitment to efficiency, accountability, and ensuring that resources are directed where they matter most, to students, parents, and teachers. So now the tough part goes that they actually have to make this work. Yes, the Department of Education, like all federal departments, are money laundering schemes. Now they have to make it look like it actually was a positive thing, because now Trump is going to run into one of the worst forces in politics, angry teachers. And they will not cooperate with Trump. They will not make it easy for him. Teachers already put themselves up on the cross every year. Oh, look at these. We have to buy all these supplies, and we have to do all. Nobody put a gun to your head and told you to be a teacher. We don't get paid enough. The average teacher makes about $55,000 a year. Considering you get 3 months off, that's a pretty sweet deal, plus breaks and everything else. All right. I taught for 10 years. You can't come at me with the teaching argument. A, I did it. B, when it came to materials, I didn't shop at Target. I shopped at the Dollar Tree. I bought my pencils, pens, and papers at the Dollar Tree, so I saved money. Unlike you teachers, where you have to go to Target and buy all the foofy crap that you can to make your classrooms more, I don't know, accessible or whatever the case may be. And now you just throw up rainbow flags and Black Lives Matter flags up anyway. But angry teachers are the worst, man. They're the worst. They are angry. They are waiting for an opportunity to tell you how little they're paid. Oh, I'm not paid enough for all the weekends well, you suck at your job. I never had to worry about taking work home. You know why? Because I got my ugly butt up and I got to work an hour and a half before school started. And I did all my correcting there. And I did all my work there. Oh, but I had some teachers that showed up. Class began at 8 o'clock. They showed up at 7:55. And then they're complaining, oh, I got to stay so late. Oh, well, you showed up at 7:55. What happened? You get spring break off. You get 2 weeks off at Christmas and New Year's. You get 3 months off in the summertime. Your job in comparison to everything else, you guys have it made. And when you work there for 10, 11, 12, you're making 75, 80,000 a year, depending on the district. Yeah. These are going to be the same teachers. You're right, crotchety, that they were telling people that we couldn't go back to classrooms because it was not safe enough. Meanwhile, they were sitting at home in their jams, not really doing anything because the state was telling the kids what work to do. And they were just kind of essentially hall monitoring classes. So it is what it is. I don't know if this is a good move. I've already made my thoughts known about it, but it's already done. So we'll see what happens. It's Rick Cass. I'm the aforementioned Rick. Like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell. If you like this show, leave me a comment in the comment section down below. And we are just going to keep soldiering on today. And we're going to go to our first main story of the day. And it's not a good one. It's actually very tragic. Happened pretty much as soon as this show ended. As soon as this show ended, I opened up X and I was greeted to this. And this happened an hour away from me. Right? An hour and 10 minutes. I am an hour outside of the city of Austin, north of it, I'm in essentially Killeen, near Fort Hood. It's not Cavazos, it's Fort Hood. So InfoWars reporter Jamie White brutally murdered near Austin residential area, the outlet says. Let's see here. So I could tell it to you, or you could let Alex Jones tell it to you. I think which one we know we're going to go with.
Into the world with some really horrible news. There are a lot of really cool people that have worked at InfoWars over the years, and one of the most amazing people was Jamie White. You know him as a great reporter and researcher. He was up here last night working late during the Sunday show and after it. And we even have his last post on X where he responded to Elon Musk. Jamie was murdered last night outside of his home, just a few miles away from our studios. And we are the folks here breaking that news first because his family has been notified, and his good personal friends here that were very close to Jamie have talked to his folks and family. We sent some people over this morning when he didn't answer the phone, because he's always here early, loves to work, loves to fight tyranny, loves to promote freedom. And when they got to the apartment complex, there was yellow tape everywhere and blood all over the parking lot. And we went and talked to the manager. They didn't know anything. Just like everybody else we see in the left, they just very laissez-faire. But our crew member saw a police officer and went and talked to them, and they made a phone call, and she had the details when she talked to him and knew Jamie. The police officer said yes, he died at the hospital very soon after they got him there. The police responded within 2 minutes, and they had him at the hospital where he was pronounced dead within 18 minutes. Just want to say the police did a great job in the response time, despite, I'm going to talk about in a moment who I hold responsible for this. and who is responsible for this and who are accomplices to Jamie and so many others' murder and so many others that have been raped and mugged. Heard me on air talk about how the crime is very, very bad here in Austin. Any leftist city is, and just exploded the last 4 years. But let me just tell you what happened to Jamie. What we know so far, his last post on X was 16 hours ago. There's Jamie's X account. I've sworn upon the altar of God, eternal hostility against every form of tyranny over the mind of man. Original gangster, Thomas Jefferson. And, I mean, I'll just say it. Jamie was our best writer and reporter. They're all great, but they all said he was the best. I mean, there's others that are almost as good, but not as good as Jamie. And he wrote 6-7 articles yesterday, posted all this news, did all this great research, gave us information for the show, assisted us in what we were doing. And we came in this morning, the crew looked really upset, and they said Jamie didn't come in. And so we sent one of the crew down there. And doesn't look good. And then they didn't even want to tell me yet that the cops had said, no, it was Jamie White. We were the first to learn. We waited until the afternoon until the family's been told. You saw a little clip from a newscast about this in the early morning hours, and it's just Austin Police Department officers responded to a high-priority emergency call at approximately 11:57 p.m. Sunday night. The call was shoot, stab, hot shot, which refers to a high-priority potential life-threatening call involving possibility of an active shooter or stabbings. Officers arrived about 2 minutes later and found a male victim, obvious signs of trauma, according to APD Public Information Officer Leah Ratliff. Officers attempted life-saving measures before the victim was transported to a local hospital where he was pronounced dead at approximately 12:19 a.m. Monday morning. Homicide detectives are actively investigating the incident, which marks Austin's 8th homicide of the year. Authorities have not released information about potential suspects.
All right, let me drop that. Let me drop that.
This is pretty early on the investigation.
All right, there you go. You can get rid of you. I'm sorry I'm getting some reports that we're free. Hey, YouTube, are we freezing up over there? Let me know if we are. Because I see when I watch these things, I'm kind of freezing up on Rumble. I'm freezing up over there on X. So I don't know. The internet is still doing the internet things, but appreciate you guys working through our issues here. All right. So Jamie White is a member of, and I guess I am on the very, very, very outside. Anybody who does stuff like this independent bubble stuff, independent media, people who don't talk, who talk outside the mainstream talking points and bring things up. You see how dangerous it can be, because whether it's a foreign government, whether it's our own with the intelligence agencies, there are narratives that are crafted for reasons. And there was a very long period of time where these narratives could be crafted and they could be completely accepted by the public. Now, of course, there were always people on the outside that didn't agree with it, but they didn't have a platform. They didn't have places to talk about these things like Alex Jones has been doing for the better part of 25, 30 years. And then the rest of us have been kind of just drafting him in that regard. But Jamie is an example of, and I don't think he would be one of these people. Yes, people in the chat room are correct. Eternal rest grant unto Jamie White's soul, Lord. Let perpetual light shine upon him. May he rest in peace. Amen. And I don't know, maybe Jamie White was one of these people that did believe in the God-given right to keep and bear arms, but you should. You absolutely should. Because even 2 minutes, that's what Alex Jones said. They got there in 2 minutes. And he still died. Now, the confirmation is that he was shot. We didn't know if it was a stabbing or shooting or whatever the case may be. But InfoWars reported Jamie White was brutally murdered near Austin home, Texas, Sunday night. You heard all that. White was heading home from work Sunday night when he was killed. Jones said in the video, the Austin Police Department did not immediately respond for a request to comment. The department told Fox 7 that the officers found an adult male with obvious signs of trauma in South Austin. He was taken to the hospital. The victim was found in the parking lot of the apartment complex. According to a clip shared by Jones, investigators are still retrieving evidence from the second floor apartment. Police said they have no information on the suspect, but they say it is underway. It is the 8th homicide in Austin this year. Mind you, we are only in March. 2 minutes is a long time, and I'm glad you brought that up. People are like, oh, 2 minutes, that's quickly. When you're bleeding out, 2 minutes is an absolute eternity. And so people are saying things like, oh, he was trying to break into Jamie's car and Jamie caught him, or whatever the case may be. It's not enough to own a firearm. You must know how to use it. You must know how to draw under pressure. You must know how to use various shooting positions. You should know how to move when shooting, because a lot of people don't practice actually stepping to the left or to the right while firing, because we all stand in our little lanes and we punch holes in targets. Because nobody's going to protect you. We're talking about this with the Amaranth story, like last week, when she had all these security cameras and dogs and everything, and she still had to use a gun in the end. You need to find something like returnees on Attainer or right to bear or somebody like that, and that is self-defense insurance, so that way you can be confident in using your firearm and not just hope that your police department is going to give you a pat on the back, because most of the time they're not going to do it. Now, a couple other things in regards to this. Libs of TikTok posted this earlier in the day at 10:30. This was a tweet from Jamie White saying he's on the Ukrainian enemies list due to his work at InfoWars with Real Alex Jones. The group who compiled this list is tied to the U.S. State Department, USAID, CIA, and George Soros. So he, and I mean, who better to report on this than him, was in danger. Now, reporters have been in danger for supposedly reporting the truth for forever. But if you're outside the main narrative, you're a lot easier to eliminate as far as potential problems and or threats. Now, of course, another member of InfoWars was swatted today in Austin. Swatting is when somebody calls a SWAT team or calls the police department and says, hey, so-and-so has a gun and, you know, he's threatening his wife and kids or whatever the case may be, and they send a SWAT team. The person that got called on, they don't know this, so they open up the door. The SWAT team just pretty much does nasty things to them. It's a terrible tactic that somebody came up with a long time ago. And so people have to actually, that this is going to be something that's pretty rough. But the fact is that anybody who decides to step out of line, and you think you're empowered under Trump to do so, there's still a vast, deep state out there that is determined to keep things in place, especially things that are tied to Ukraine. There's a lot of money through the military-industrial complex, and there's a lot of things that are being dumped into Ukraine money-wise that makes it really dangerous to mess with. And it's very, very sad that Jamie lost his life, especially in a place where Austin is just not a good city. It's not. We call it Moscow on the Colorado River for a reason, because it is. It's full of communists. It's not a great city. It's full of corruption. It's full of crime. It's dangerous. Assaults, murders, violations of all kind. It's, you know, people will remember Austin from 15, 20 years ago. Oh, keep Austin weird. Austin's not weird anymore. Austin just sucks. It's a terrible place. It's expensive. It's crowded. It's trafficked. It's very much like Memphis, Lou. It's living off of the vibes of a much better time, much like Memphis. But it's very sad that this took place. And we pray for Jamie White's soul, and we pray for Jamie White's family, who now has to deal with the ramifications of losing somebody at such a young age, and all of that comes with it. So our thoughts and prayers, and especially our prayers, go out to the Jamie White, to the White family, and to everybody over at InfoWars, the Rick Cast crew, which is you guys and myself. Yeah, we're praying for Jamie and praying for you guys because it's not fun. It's not fun when somebody's life is ripped away so tragically, and just not fair. So yeah, this is Rick Cast. I'm the aforementioned Rick. Like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell if you like what we are doing. Let's move on to our next story of the night. From Axios.com. Let me real quick. Even the which ones, man? Pflugerville, not good anymore. Round Rock, overcrowded. Georgetown, getting there. None of those towns are any good. The Pflugerville is a sanctuary city. Pflugerville is a sanctuary city now. I wish those towns were great, but they've been overrun just as much. Even into Taylor, Texas, because Tyler is up in the DFW area. We're talking about Taylor. Taylor has, it's been overrun as well with libs. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, dude, it's sad. It really is sad because those are really nice areas, but they're bloated, they're crowded, they're expensive. Yep. All right, let's get through this one. Ukraine backs U.S. proposal for a 30-day ceasefire with Russia. Ukraine expressed readiness to accept the U.S. proposal for immediate 30-day ceasefire with Russia, the two countries said in a joint statement after a key meeting between the U.S. and the Ukrainian officials in Saudi Arabia. Why does this matter? And a ceasefire, if implemented, would be a major diplomatic breakthrough in the 3-year war between Russia and the Ukraine, but the Kremlin has yet to weigh in on the U.S. proposal. You can listen to what little Marco Rubio has to say about that.
Candidate, President Trump is a president. He wants to be a president of peace. His goal in this entire process has been to bring about an end to this war. It's a terrible war, a costly war, a bloody war, and his number one interest is ending this war once and for all. Today we made an offer that the Ukrainians have accepted, which is to enter into a ceasefire and into immediate negotiations to end this conflict in a way that's enduring and sustainable and accounts for their interests, their security, their ability to prosper as a nation. I want to personally we both want to thank the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, His Majesty, for hosting us, for making this possible. They've been instrumental in this process, and we're very grateful to them for hosting us here today. And hopefully we'll take this offer now to the Russians. And we hope that they'll say yes, to peace. The ball is now in their court. And but again, the president's objective here is, number one, above everything else, he wants the war to end. And I think today Ukraine is taking a concrete step in that regard. We hope the Russians will reciprocate.
Well, just to add to the
boo, nobody cares. I don't know if this is going to be the win that we want, because as Cracciello brings up, why would the Russians? Because if I didn't have this clip ready to go, or this piece of information, you can find this out. The military aid is resumed to the Ukraine with this agreement, right? They've agreed to it. So now the U.S. is starting to fund the Ukrainians and their armament again. So, that's a good point. Russia's not going to have a great amount of respect for this, but it is what it is in that regard. During the meeting, which lasted more than 5 hours, U.S. agreed to lift its suspension on intelligence sharing with the Ukraine and resumed weapon shipments. Good, I can say that. The U.S. aid to Ukraine slowed down and cutting off. Now it has been resumed to the country, which were paused 8 days ago. After weeks of pressuring the Ukrainians, U.S. signaled a pressure is now on the Russians. If the Russians say no, we will know what the impediment is here, if I said that right. Trump told reporters at the White House that he hopes Russia will agree to the ceasefire. He said he would invite Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky back to the White House, where I'm sure he's going to wear a suit this time. So we'll see how this works. This is a pretty big deal because this has been agreed to, but this could just be another false start in the negotiation process, because you get the Russians to agree to something and the Ukrainians don't like it. You get the Ukrainians to agree something and the Russians don't like it. So it really is, one or the other. I don't know if this is going to really work, but we'll see in this regard. All right, this is Rick Cast. I'm the aforementioned Rick. I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell for all the fun things to happen. Let's get to a fun one where we're going to call out the MAGites. We're going to call out the MAGites, man. Donald Trump calls for key Republican congressmen to be primaried. And that congressman is the one and only Thomas Massie. President Donald Trump ripped into Republican Congressman Thomas Massie of Kentucky on Monday night over opposition to a bill to continue funding this U.S. government. Republicans are attempting to pass a Trump-endorsed quote-unquote clean temporary funding bill or continuing resolution before the government shut down on March 14th. Massie, a staunch fiscal conservative, has a history of opposing his party on some key votes. Despite Trump's wishes, Massie has repeatedly refused to back the CR to fund the government. In a post on X Sunday night, the congressman asserted he would be a no on the CR this week, and you can hear a little bit more about it now.
It as a conservative CR versus liberal Democrats, and even the Democrats are going along in the House. But let me tell you why that's a fake fight. They plan to pass it with all Republicans here in the House, but after we leave town, the Democrats are going to vote for it in the Senate. That's right. They're going to need about 8 Democrat senators to vote for this thing over in the Senate. That means that this deal has already been cut, that Mike Johnson has cut a deal with the Senate Democrats, Senate leadership, and even Hakeem Jeffries, he's in on this, so that they can pitch their fake fight here in the House. Now, why am I so certain this is going to pass in the Senate when it gets over there with 8 Democrats, or however many Democrats they need? Well, Mike Johnson is sending us home a day early. We're going to vote on this thing and skip town. If you thought there was really a threat of them not passing it in the Senate, why would you leave town? The other thing that's going on is the Democrats have a retreat, an off-site retreat, where they're going to get together and party and have, guest speakers and stuff. And that starts tomorrow and runs through Thursday and Friday. Now, you think they're not going to let this thing pass? What would happen if, let's say, the Freedom Caucus decided to take the conservative stance on this CR and oppose it? Well, they would be about 30 or 40 votes short here in the House, the Republicans would. But Hakeem Jeffries wouldn't be able to pretend, along with Mike Johnson, in this fake fight, that this is a conservative versus liberal battle in the House, and he would just hand over at least 40 Democrats. And once you get to 40 Democrats, it'd probably be a whole lot more Democrats. So that's what's going on. It's all a fake fight. You're going to find this out when it goes over to the Senate, and you have Democrats in the Senate voting for it. Now, here's the other thing a lot of people aren't telling you about this bill. In the FRA, stands for Fiscal Responsibility Act. I'm not saying it was that responsible, but in the FRA that passed a couple years ago under Kevin McCarthy, the deal that was cut between myself and others on the Rules Committee was that if you will guarantee a 1% cut in spending on any CR that goes past April 30th and put that into law, use the sequester language and put that into law, then we would raise the debt limit or suspend the debt limit for a period of time. I voted for this because a 1% cut seemed like a wonderful thing if they would go and do a CR for a full year, which seemed like almost a certainty at some point in the next 2 years. Well, here we are under Mike Johnson, and we've got the 1 year CR that they're going to do. It's actually a 6-month CR because we're already 6 months into this, and it's going to go past April 30th. It should trigger the sequester. But guess what? Mike Johnson's folks and lawyers have said, we're just going to ignore that. We're going to treat this continuing resolution as 12 appropriations bills or an omnibus for the purposes of this sequester.
He has this all over social media if you want to watch it. It's a good 7 minutes long. I'm just going to bring this up, and I don't like to play these games. If this clean CR was Joe Biden's continuing resolution, Republicans would be stomping their feet and saying, this is not a good thing, and we need to stop this, and blah, 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 blah. But because Trump has endorsed it, once again, the MAGites have fallen in line, much like the intellectual Dan Bongino.
I don't agree. And I have defended Congressman Massie in the past. You just go back and watch the shows. I don't get emotional about these things. He has been amazing on the January 6th pipe bomber case. Incredible. He is wrong here. I'm sorry, he's wrong. He doesn't have a tactical plan to cut spending. I just gave it to you. Get rid of this CR, deal with it for 3 more months.
See, Bongino's wrong. because Massie already agreed to a plan to cut spending back under McCarthy. But Mike Johnson is ignoring it. So tight shirt Bongino over here can try to hem and haw as much as he wants about tactical advantages and how to do things. But Massie, because Massie has a master's from MIT, isn't actually a genius. Now, I'm not calling Dan Bongino stupid, but it's not a fair fight. Massie knows what he's doing. Bongino is a very good law enforcement personnel, but he wants to talk about policy. He's kind of like me talking about diets. It doesn't really work out that well. But I want you to listen to the rest of this diatribe that Bongino is saying essentially to Thomas Massie and to anybody that would dare speak out against, the chosen one, Donald Trump.
Move on to reconciliation and fight the fight there where you actually have the numbers. Does that make sense? Anybody disagree? If you think that I'm a toolbox and a jerk right now and you're like, that's just crazy, tell me in the chat. I'm open. All I'm asking you is if you believe that, tell me what your plan is. Tell me what your plan is to get over the Senate filibuster.
The plan was, why don't you do what was previously agreed? Why don't you do the 1% cuts that were previously agreed? Why are we doing, as somebody, I think it was Crotchie, why are we doing continuing resolutions under a conservative Congress? Why are we doing budgets? I thought we were breaking everything down and passing everything one by one. We got to do continuing resolutions still? Oh, that's right, because the money's still got to get printed. As you guys have been saying, pretty much the motto for this night's show is meet the new boss, same as the old boss. All of this stuff is the same. And so while Trump is talking about Teslas and Trump is talking about this stuff, he's like, pass my continuing resolution. It's a clean one. I don't even think Trump knows what the hell he's talking about. I don't think Trump knows anything about budgetary politics in the Senate and in the House. Somebody in his, Mike Johnson's like, don't worry, it's a clean bill. We'll get it through. And now he's just pushing it through. But
if you have it, I'd love to hear it. Everybody, everybody can talk a big game. The problem is you have to have a plan to implement it on the field.
So Massie just told you. That's why I went Massie's video first. Massie does have a plan. And Massie's not going to get bullied by Trump. And Trump went out there. I think I have it. And he came out with this. And Kyle Seraphin, who I know he's a fine guy. I don't have any problem with him. Still won't debate me. These guys called me out for a debate like 6 months ago. I said yes, and they've never done it, ironically enough. But that's not his fault. He said correctly, when you threaten somebody, you better be able to bring the pain. Thomas Massie holds his seat because his constituents love him. And so Trump went out and thank you to the House Freedom Caucus for just delivering a big blow to the radical left's Democrats and their desire to raise taxes and shut down our country. They hate America and all it stands for. That's why they allowed millions of criminals to invade our nation. Sometimes it takes great courage to do the right thing. Congressman Thomas Massie of beautiful Kentucky is an automatic no on just about everything. Despite the fact he has always voted for continuing resolutions in the past, he should be primaried and lead the charge. And I will lead the charge against him. That's a loss, Trump. You do that, you're gonna get blown out. He reminds me of Liz Cheney. No, dude, he's not Liz Cheney. Ain't gonna work. Do I have any takers? Anyway, thank you again to the House Freedom Caucus, blah, 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 blah. This is a loss. Trump, don't do it, man. Don't do it. Massie's constituents love Thomas Massie. Most people like myself love Thomas Massie. The way I look at it is Thomas Massie is the kind of person the founders wanted to run or be in representative government. Not you, Trump. Let's get that. I'll say it again. When the founders created a federalist system with the executive, the legislative, and the executive and the judicial branch, they were hoping people like Thomas Massie would be in those seats. They did not want people like Donald Trump in those seats. I'm not saying Trump is a bad person. He just doesn't know the levers of power that, he's not into the game of governing. He wants everybody to do everything he wants. He wants, real quick, Trump wanted the country to shut down under Biden because he wanted everything fixed. Now he doesn't want anything shut down under him. So it was okay under Biden, but it's not okay under you. It's either okay or it's not. You either pass it under Biden and you pass it under you, or you don't. Does that make sense? Am I making sense here? Let me know in the comment section down below on Rumble, X, YouTube, anywhere. Michael, it's all the same. It's all the same. And even Trump with his promises of doing something different because he's an outsider, they all fall into the same thing, which is why the federal solution never works. And I'm about to channel my inner Steve Cunningham. The only solution is to get as much power from the federal government back into your state governments as possible, because that's the only way it works. Hoping Donald Trump fixes everything is a recipe for disaster. And good for Thomas Massie. Absolutely good for him standing up. But you've got all the conservative grifting MAGites coming out being like, must do what Trump says, must do what Trump says. Trump said, pass bill. We must pass bill now. It's pathetic. It's 100% pathetic, because all we're doing is following our Pied Piper instead of everybody following Obama. We're following Trump. Because I'll tell you why. There's a lot of money in the Trump orbit. I said it yesterday. Now I'll keep saying it, because once you understand it, you see how these people operate. If you stand, Dan Bongino understands this. If he goes outside the Trump sphere of influence, he's going to lose that cushy job at the FBI. Because why would he go? Because he's going to get a federal pension out of this. If he works there for 4 years, he's going to get a federal pension on top of all the other money he makes. Plus, he's going to get books, and he's going to get speaking things, and he's going to do all of this other stuff. And same thing with Jack Posobiec, and same thing with Charlie Kirk, and the same thing with anybody that is telling Thomas Massie to sit down and shut up is somebody, just like with the Epstein list, they protected Pam Bondi and they protected everything. When that was blown out, I told you, whoever is protecting Pam Bondi and going with the narrative, and that includes Tim Cast, who I think, he's the king of YouTube, at least in this space. He was on board with it. You got to be careful with people like that. You have to be. It sucks, but that's how it is. The people that are supposedly on your side are only there to promote whatever Trump wants promoted. Now, some of them do it because they actually believe in the American First agenda. Great. But outside of it, most of them are there for a paycheck. Benny Johnson, all of these guys, all of them. And that's just how it goes. All right, folks, this is Rickcast. I am the aforementioned Rick. Oh, by the way, in case anything mattered, let me get rid of that one. Is this it? I don't know what we're doing. Remove, back in. All right, let me hide that. This thing is just, get out of here. This is very anticlimactic, isn't it? Ta-da! Let's see here. Share the screen. Here we go. And I think House approves the GOP-led conservative resolution to avoid the shutdown. So, Massie said no, but they approved it anyway. Right? It's a bunch. It happened. So, all right, folks, let's move to our last story of the day. Little pop culture stuff, because we don't want to stick to politics for the entire time. Speaking of which, I will be doing a live, because I hate recording videos. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I hate recording videos. For some reason, I just don't do well on them, because I have to be robotic So I'm just going to do a live reaction to Daredevil episode 3, 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central here on Rickcast. I'm going to just let it fly for like 30 minutes. And if you watched it and you want to jump in or let somebody who's watching, let me know. That way I don't have to record a video tomorrow. Is it lazy? Kind of. Am I honest? Absolutely. All right. Last story of the day. Also, it's fresh in my head. Absolutely won't be watching. Harry Potter fans fume over Snape's casting in new series. Now, I don't watch Harry Potter because I think it's the devil, but let this guy explain it, because I guess he knows more than I do. So, abracadabra.
Severus Snape might be a black guy in the upcoming Harry Potter show. Is it because Snape cast a race transition spell?
Wingardium Blackiosa.
or because he drank a polyjuice potion? Well, we don't know the reason, but it likely has something to do with HBO's goal of being committed to inclusive, diverse casting. Defenders of this casting choice are celebrating it as a step toward inclusivity. They also note that Snape's race is never specified in the books. Critics counter that Snape is described as a pale, pallid, and sallow-skinned person, none of which are terms that you'd use to describe the actor who's being cast for this role, Papa Isiadu. As for me, I grew up with Harry Potter. I remember waiting until midnight for the next book to drop. And it's also cool.
Just for the record, I did not. I watched the movies back in the day, but witchcraft. They're evil.
As a Black person, to see Papa having success. We even have similar last names. And I get that racially diverse casting can offer new perspectives, but this is forced. Harry Potter is a part of history. Many millennials' fondest childhood memories are with these characters. As a little kid in the Bronx, at no point did I ever think there needs to be more Black people in these books. Fans weren't complaining about Harry Potter's diversity back then. We were just happy to experience the wizarding world as it was. Making Snape Black might help HBO's diversity push, but it's coming at the cost of being true to the source material. And overlooking that by saying Snape's race was never specified when he was described in terms that you would never use for a Black person is evasion, not explanation. Now, if HBO wants more racial diversity, they can do it with characters who don't have such a defined physical appearance. But my bigger frustration is this. I'm tired of seeing shows and video games lecture me about how the world ought to be. I don't need a Black Snape any more than I need a Black Legolas or a white Mace Windu. And when you change one part of history, you affect other parts of it. For example, now James Potter bullying Snape as a youth has a racial dynamic that wasn't in the books. Is that now racist? Well, it needs to be reconciled. And if you think race isn't central to Snape's role, I agree. But we can't be expected to not see color on one hand while HBO emphasizes color on the other. HBO promised us when they announced this show that it would be a faithful adaptation to the books. This is causing us to lose faith. And even if J.K. Rowling supports this because her ideas have changed, the history she made hasn't. So please, to HBO and all of Hollywood, let us cherish our childhoods.
That's pretty well said. I mean, I have nothing more to add on that. It's just it's a shame. I kind of do feel bad when these guys or these women or these people who get put in these roles, because I never fault an actor for taking work. I don't. They shouldn't have been offered the role. And once again, I don't really care about Harry Potter, but it really speaks to a whole wide thing. I've never, and I think I was talking to Crotchety or somebody else a couple weeks ago. I had no problem with Kingpin in the 2003 Daredevil movie being played by Michael Clark Duncan, because you could make the Kingpin a Black guy, and especially somebody like Michael Clark Duncan, because he was a massive man who you could be like, oh, that guy could absolutely beat the crap out of people. And so I get it. Michael, I don't like credentialism. Like, as a short, fat Italian man, this is my opinion. You either have an opinion as adult or not, right? Your opinion is either valid as a person with a soul or not. So I get Michael Thomas. I 100% get what you're saying on that. And also Eric July has been leading this charge forever. He calls them sloppy seconds. Like, oh, we have to be a race swap Snape, or we have to be a race swap Captain America, because I guess Hollywood doesn't think we're good enough as Black people to have our own roles, to have our own comics, to have our own heroes, to have any of this stuff. We have to take the sloppy seconds, and we just have to be thankful for it. And when you look at it that way, it is the most ridiculous thing to do for Hollywood to pat themselves on the back. And say, look how good we've done. We've done such good things because we have given this actor sloppy seconds. And it's agendas. It really is agendas that are being pushed. And it's pathetic. And I feel bad for the actor because he's just like, hey, this is the biggest break of my career, so I have to take it. But he's going to get, no matter what he does, it's not going to be, the people that love the books are going to hate him. And the people, and then there's going to automatically be this faction of people on the left who will come to his defense, not because he plays the role well, but because he's the diverse casting that they want. They'll be like, oh, well, you're a piece of crap because you don't like him. It's like, no, he didn't do well. No, you don't like him. That's pretty, this strategy destroyed Star Wars. It destroyed Star Wars, but it destroyed that IP, and it's barely limping along, and that's generous to say that. Marvel is trying to bring itself out of that, and real quick, only 7.5 million people watched the premiere of Daredevil. 14 million people watched, that's their average for the Star Wars show. So Marvel has destroyed their brand so much that even though this reigniting of Daredevil is actually pretty good, nobody wants to watch it because they don't want to have to worry about, you know, this, that, or the other thing. And the fact that they already killed off Foggy Nelson in the first episode and they replaced Karen with 2 diverse castmates. It's like, what are you doing, Disney? I mean, the Foggy one you could justify, but then they shuffled Karen off to San Francisco and they replaced her with a young black girl who does a blog. And people are going, well, but why? And so it's just absolutely ridiculous in all these things. And so, yeah, it is what it is. So we have this latest controversy, and I just hope they don't make any of the kids, because they're gonna get. I hope they stay so true to them. They won't, and they're setting those kids up for failure. And that's what they're really doing. Is they set those kids up for failure as they just burn these IPs to the ground. All right, folks, that's it for this episode of Rickcast. Thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight. Do me a favor, like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell if you like what we did tonight. We tried to cover everything else. We try to hit all 4 corners of the internet, and we are not a show that agrees with the narrative. We give you, or this show, my crew here in the YouTube chat, we try to make it as real as possible, and we try to sift through as much of the BS as possible. So I thank you guys, YouTube, my YouTube chat guys, you guys and gals absolutely stepped up tonight. As always, you did a great job. My Rumblers weren't very active tonight. My people on X are never active, but I appreciate you hanging out, I guess. I do, actually. I'm sorry. I'll talk to y'all tomorrow night, ladies and gentlemen. And if you're going to join me tonight, 9 p.m. Central, 10 p.m. Eastern, I will be doing a live reaction to episode 3 of Daredevil Born Again. Once again, A, because it'll be fresh in my mind, but B, I don't want to get up and do it at like 5 o'clock tomorrow morning like I did last week. Just honest, man. Just honest with y'all. So my one Twitch watcher, you're right, Crotchy. Is my Twitch watcher there? Yes. Twitch watcher. Twitcher. Put a comment in the chat one time so we know what you're up to. Anyway, we want to see one tomorrow, guys. I appreciate every single one of you. The show is great because of you. God bless. And Viva Cristo Rey. And until that day comes, free Dexter Taylor.